and the thousands upon thousands of hard-working American men and women. The millions who pool their skills and talents to produce the things we need and want. And we who enjoy whatever they have made for us do well to be thinking of what they are giving us. Oh yes, we know they work for their pay, for their food, and for the needs of their wives and the wants of their young ones. But also, they make for the joy of making things right, whatever the whims of our choice and the twists of our tastes.
More and more reliable. Inventors, engineers, and manufacturers continually offer us improvements so we can have things with new beauty, longer life, and low maintenance costs. Improvements we can afford because they are economically produced and that can be bought by more and more people for less money than they ever cost. There is something else we want too. An opportunity to choose the attraction that serves the purpose for which we want it. Our wants and tastes differ. We are not all alike in what we like. Some of us have one like. Someone else has another like that's different. Depending upon who we are, where we live, and where we go from day to day, we differ in our desires as to style. Some we save for years oftentimes, to spend on education. And our youngsters are able to attend schools that become more modern, schools that offer all of us a chance to improve what we know. As we choose, we have almost unlimited varieties of
are becoming neighborhoods like this. America is mobile. 1 of 4 Americans moves every year. We buy houses, hoping to sell them when our salary goes up, or the company transfers us, or we can't pay for them. We used to live in the same house most of our lives. Maybe work in the same community, perhaps at the same job, and go to the same church from baptism to burial. This is the new frontier in the making. The new frontier completed, made by husbands and fathers willing to spend their time, their energy, their substance for their families, but seldom there to enjoy the fruits of their labor. Suburbia is a woman's world. Reading their newspapers on the commuter trains, the men may make the big decisions, like what should be done about the hydrogen bomb. But over coffee on the patio, the women make the so-called little decisions. How to raise the children, run the house, the school, the town, the church, and their husbands. On the new frontier, the minister, making his parish calls, is one of the few men the community sees during the daylight hours. His is a new kind of ministry.
You are like many boys a day for you to come home. As soon as you come in sight, he lets you know how he feels about you. Every wiggle and every jump, every wag of his tail says, "Oh, I'm glad to see you." And you don't have any trouble understanding him. Yes, between a boy or girl and a dog, words are unnecessary. But any time you meet other people, words as well as actions are important. Because it is through words that you find out a lot about people. And the words that tell you the most about a person are the words of courtesy. You can go into any house anywhere and find out in a few minutes how important the words of courtesy are. Which house shall we go to? That one? That's where Jack Nelson lives. Do you suppose he's home? Yes, there's Jack, and he's putting the finishing touches on a gift he has made for his mother's. And now it is the morning of his mother's birthday. And while she is still busy, Jack puts the surprise package beside her plate. Jack's mother is surprised. For a moment, she just sits there, holding the gift and not saying a word. And for that moment, Jack has a funny feeling, a pretty awful feeling. Maybe she doesn't like.
Jack, it's beautiful. And you did all this work for me? Thank you, Jack.
Thank you. Just 2 words. And yet until she said them, Jack couldn't be sure he had made his mother happy. 2 words. Thank you that changed Jack's feelings from uncertain to mighty good. Words of courtesy do make people feel good, and that's why it's so important to use them. You have seen how important the words thank you were to someone about your age, Jack Nelson. Now let's go to another house on another street and see if those words mean just as much to someone else. This is where Donna Perry lives. Donna Perry, who was daydreaming about a dress she saw in the department store window. Donna doesn't actually.
Levittown buildings, playgrounds that leave nothing to be desired, and modern shopping centers that offer easy access without through traffic. Here, nearly 5,000 new homes per year rise out of an area that was only yesterday swamp and meadow and brush. The speed and precision teamwork that makes possible this mass production of low-cost homes on a profit-producing basis is a tribute to the enterprise of the American construction industry. Each of the Levittown home lots has 34 pieces of shrubbery. Multiply that by 16,000, and you have a job much too big for hand labor. But the Ford tractor and post hole digger make easy work of it. And from Levittown to Los Angeles, from Minneapolis to Miami, the quiet revolution continues as a great industry provides better homes for modern American living.
The building of a house in one day is shown during the next 45 seconds by stop-motion photography. These are the 36 men who built this house. Another day, another 40 houses.
Jim takes Ed around to see the new houses Phil Regan is building with Jim's financing. The insurance company has no financial interest in this part of the project, but Ed Stevens always likes to see what mortgage bankers are doing. Jim is financing the mortgages on these houses. Later, he will transfer the individual mortgages to one of the savings banks or insurance companies he represents. These institutions welcome the opportunity to spread their investments in government-insured mortgages. And the ripples of prosperity, like those from a pebble dropped in the water, reach out farther and farther to benefit more and more people, every trade, profession, and business in the community.
Do. Our American dream of Futurama on wheels can come true. Our highway engineers know the way. It's ours for the asking, if we'll ask and pay our way. Freedom of the road is as old as the first man and as new as this moment. Once we fought for it, through forest and river, wild animals and Indians, across desert and mountain range, and we won our right of way. Now there is another payment to be made on our freedom of movement. It's the price for growing greater than our biggest dream. Today, 2 miles of highway are wearing out for every one being built. And tomorrow, we'll have 1 million more drivers, not counting those in the back seat. The way ahead, is it to be a dead end or the green light?
Don't honk your horn. Raise your...
Fine. Yes, I'd love to. Thanks, Jean. I'll be there. 2 o'clock. Goodbye. You know, 3 weeks ago, I couldn't have accepted that invitation. Like so many people these days, we live in the suburbs, and Dave needs the car every day for business. When he was gone, I was practically a prisoner in my own home. I couldn't get out to see my friends, couldn't take part in PTA activities. I couldn't even shop when I wanted to. I had to wait till Thursday night after Dave brought the car home. But that's all changed now. 3 weeks ago, we bought another Ford, the new low-priced custom line Victoria. Isn't it stunning? Dave has it all to himself, and I now have the ranch wagon all to myself. It's a whole new way of life. Now I'm free to go anywhere, do anything, see anybody anytime I want to. It's only good common sense. Why be stuck with one expensive car when you can enjoy all the fun and freedom of 2 fine Fords?
Today, more and more families are finding out how easy it is to become 2 Ford families. You can choose from 20 different models, colors galore, and each available with Thunderbird power, with styling inspired by the famous Ford Thunderbird, and each with the extra protection of Ford's Lifeguard design. See your Ford dealers soon.
Rate of 1 million acres a year by factories, shopping centers, highways, housing developments, and more housing developments. How did it happen in the span of a single generation? What can be done to reverse the tide and preserve the land? How did it happen? Let's examine a typical metropolitan area of the 1920s, just a generation ago. Here at the heart of the city, a concentration of shops, business offices, hotels, apartments, factories. Farther out, pleasant middle-income residential areas. rapid transit lines fanning out in a half dozen directions to the city limits. A few miles beyond, a ring of sleepy little towns that housed local tradespeople and upper-income businessmen from the city. Each suburban town had its own government, its own community services. There was no overall planning agency for the area. No one foresaw the need for such an agency. Neither the city nor its satellites prepared for change, because none of them expected change. Not even when the family car arrived on the American scene in a big way, bringing new homes, new families to the suburban fringe. Depression halted that first tentative expansion throughout the 1930s, and World War II brought housing construction to a standstill for the first half of the 1940s. Then they came back from the war, 15 million GIs, clamoring for new homes and a piece of land in the country. Almost overnight, suburbia was born. 500,000 homes sprang up around the country in 1946. Nearly 1 million in 1947, 1 million in 1948, still more in 1949, 1950. The empty farmlands, the quiet towns and villages surrounding the city found themselves in the midst of a roaring housing boom. New developments on every hand, some well-planned, well-designed, blending naturally into the terrain. Some seem to have been thrown together in monotonous rows as the project builders raced to keep up with the demand for more and more homes. Where the families moved, the trade and service facilities followed, and the factories moved with them. Land costs soared everywhere. The old rule of thumb that land represents 10% of the cost of house and lot went by the boards. The ratio climbed to 15%, in some places to 20% and more, squeezing hard on the limited budgets of home buyers. And the builders moved farther and farther out in search of good development land, bypassed expensive or difficult terrain, leaving undeveloped islands behind them. Wherever the new subdivisions went, they created problems for the unprepared communities of the new suburbia. How wisely or wastefully we use the heritage of our land is not solely the responsibility of the planner, the developer, the builder, the community official. It is the responsibility of all of us who are the American community.
I wish I had a castle in the sky. Away up high where bluebirds like to fly. A cozy little castle with 100 rooms or more.
Oh, dear. Someday.
With stars for windows, clouds for rugs, a rainbow for a door. I wish...
I just wish I had a decent kitchen.
I wish the faucet wouldn't drip all day. I wish that refrigerator door would close and stay closed. I wish I had a stove whose pilot light was always lit. Furthermore, a kitchen phone at hand when friends call up to chat a bit. Hello, yes, this is Mary. How are you? Bye.
They say your kitchen dazzles every eye.
A brand new sink, a built-in oven, a new refrigerator, and a phone, a kitchen phone, a bright red phone. I gotta go. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. I'll call you later.
Improved styling constantly adds to the ease and grace and gaiety of American living. The things we have in America are ever changing. The studios and workshops of our stylists pour forth a never-ending flow of service and of artistry. Lines, planes, forms, and substances in colors. On come the developments of ideas, in pace with the emphatic decisions of the American people as to what they want, in the shapes of utility, and in the manner of their own ever-improving good taste. Homes have more than new plans. They have new patterns for living, made attractive by luxurious interiors. Living space is enhanced by new materials and accented by subtleties of color selection. By the way things look, as well as the way they perform, our homes acquire new grace, new glamour, new accommodations, expressing not only the American love of beauty, but also the basic freedom of the American people, which is the freedom of individual choice. Women and men alike are increasingly interested in the look of things. They eagerly give their attention to what's new and beautiful and advanced. Indoors or outdoors, wherever we go or wherever we stay, now and in the future, we can all depend on the stylist to beautify everything we need. From the eye appeal and swift effectiveness of the smallest utensils in the kitchen of the future, to the serene grandeur of our glistening structures, the hand of the stylist is ever designing changes to improve our life of the future. Choice. In form, proportion, rhythm, and variety, the stylists leave their unmistakable marks on everyday conveniences in flowing lines and graceful shapes, which we as Americans may enjoy.
Quick.
then you give him a break, and you end up in the kitchen baking a cake.
But this was a kitchen like none I've seen. Put a card in the slot, and onto the screen pops a picture of just how your dish will look, plus all the ingredients you need to cook. No need for the bride to feel tragic. The rest is push-button magic. So whether you bake or broil or stew, the Frigidaire kitchen does it all for you. Don't have to be chained to the stove all day. Just set the timer and you're on your way. Tick-tock, tick-tock, I'm free to have fun around the clock.
Keeping their room in good order, and keeping Junior in good order, too. Punctuality is stressed in this household. By that I mean hair is combed and faces and hands scrubbed before the boys come to the table so they won't delay the meal. Now, mother and daughter put the finishing touches on the dinner. Father, too, looks forward to this date with the family. He has had a hard day at the office, and in his briefcase are some contracts which must be looked over tonight. But in the meantime, he will relax at dinner with those he loves. A simple centerpiece made from some flowers which grow in the backyard is another of daughter's contributions to the dinner. But it takes up a little too much room, so she moves it to the sideboard. These boys greet their dad as though they are genuinely glad to see him, as though they had really missed being away from him during the day and are anxious to talk to him. This is the time for pleasant discussion in a thoroughly relaxed mood. They don't pick this time of the day to spring unpleasant surprises on Dad. If they have disagreeable news, they'll postpone the discussion until another time. And this is no time to dun Father for a raise in your allowance, new clothes, or argue about other financial matters. Ah, dinner time. Yes, Mother, Junior remembered to clean up. Brother seats Junior. Then helps Mother to her chair as he would his best girl. Well, the dinner date has begun, and they're all happy about it. Many families throughout the country observe the custom of saying grace at mealtime. It is always treated with reverence and respect. Napkins on the lap, the family awaits service. They converse pleasantly while Dad serves. I said pleasantly, for that is the keynote at dinner time. It is not only good manners, but good sense. Pleasant, unemotional conversation helps digestion. Father serves Mother first, then daughter, then the boys. Don't worry, fellas, you won't get left. Help cut your meat, Junior? Of course. By example, older children can teach younger ones good table manners. No one starts eating until Father has served himself. Always wait for the hostess, in this case Mother, to begin eating before you start. Let Father and Mother guide the conversational trend if they desire. After all, they made all this possible and may want to talk over their day with each other. Tell Mother how good the food is. Maybe Sis rates a compliment, too. It makes them want to continue pleasing you.
Oh, I remember the first jelly I made. Mine happened to be the first glass that she picked up that morning.
Well, there's one nice thing about it happening in class. Here it's part of our learning. At home it would be a minor tragedy. We'll come back to this again, but there's one thing we can be pretty sure of. There was too little of either sugar or acid or pectin. Not enough of any one means soup instead of jelly. Now let's see how this peach jelly is. This is what we'd call a little soft. It won't hold its form, and when you cut it, the surfaces are rounded. The probability is there wasn't enough acid. That's a nice one. Just stiff enough to hold its shape. And when you cut it, it cuts easily with sharp, clean-cut angles. It has a clear, delicate color. It's very good.
With so much of our population on wheels, today there's a freedom of movement that is new in the history of man. We have a much greater choice in where we live, anywhere within driving distance. Shopping centers have sprung up, away from the crowded city, anywhere there's plenty of parking space. Industries have moved out of the cities, for today they can draw their workers from miles around. Once, industries were tied down.
You see, Dick, home missionaries are at work wherever there's a frontier, a human frontier. And it's a tough assignment because there are so many. Why, in the past 10 years, some 70 million Americans have moved, sold homes, bought homes, made down payments, pulled up roots. Yesterday's pasture is today's populated area, but it remains a place and not a community without our help. And so we get churches built, moving people to give of their time, energy, money to build a place for God in their lives.
Not just ahead, but way ahead. And not just to the side, but all around him. He's constantly checking his awareness of the whole scene. So he's always aware of everything that's going on. He sees the car ahead of him, sure. But he also perceives one ahead of that. And another one approaching from the side. And he's always alert to what different things mean. He sees a parked car. And he perceives that with a driver, it could suddenly turn out. He's ready for action. He not only sees a traffic signal, he perceives waiting cars. That means the light might soon change, so he's ready.
Le pèlerinage traditionnel autour des villas des étoiles du cinéma a toujours autant de succès.
Newspapers are delivered to homes. They are read everywhere. Some people read about politics.
Enjoy their California holiday. This is where we live, in Beverly Hills. We like it fine. So did Edie and Henry. But they spent more time in the pool than in the house, which was okay with us, that is, with Mona and me. Seeing to it that they had lots of fun, well, that's what we were concerned with. It was a pleasant little chore, and I was grateful to Mona for pitching in and making things pleasant for our visitors. It was fun for us, too, just watching their happiness, the way they played and teased each other. A couple of kids on the loose with not a care in the world.
Richard Carlson, Dick, that is, didn't start his new picture for a few days, so he drove us around town. Want to see the stars, Holmes? This man is a guide for Movie Land, the sights of Hollywood and Beverly Hills. Dick drove us around to see the stars, Holmes. Imagine, taken on a tour of Movie Land by a movie actor himself. That's what I call living. Only a tumble-down shack, but it's home to Cary Grant. Or is it Lana Turner? I get them mixed up. Another little place called home, Pickfair. Imagine having to mow all that lawn.
Agriculture. And it has a population crazy about cars and driving. You know that there are more than 100...
Where do oranges come from? Oranges come from communities where it is warm through most of the year. You probably know that much of our meat comes from cattle.
Los Angeles looks like this. Whole blocks of high buildings crowd together at the center of the city. And to reach these places of business, many broad highways or freeways and traffic overpasses are needed to connect the center of the city with outlying residential areas where there is more space to live in comfortable homes.
Colorado River, 300 miles to the east. Today, the beauty of Los Angeles is dramatically symbolical of the ancient prophecy that the desert shall bloom like a rose, for this city has become a modern Garden of Eden. Luxurious vegetation conceals the once barren areas which challenged man's possession of a land now transformed into a vast empire of man-created beauty. Palatial estates are common here, since space is available to enjoy extensive ground. This is largely a city of homes occupied by individual families, for there is not the congestion of tenement dwellings common to many other cities. Homeowners take pride in keeping their gardens beautiful. Everywhere the eye is greeted by outdoor splendor, for Los Angeles is a botanical wonderland with a never-ending panorama of bright and fascinating bloom. In this land, nature with